So I'm a guitar player that tends to play bass out of necessity on parts, normally for clients or when I'm demoing out an idea. Because I'm not a bass player, and I think this is an insecurity thing, I tend to hit the root and I tend to ride that root and just kind of chug like bump, 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 bump. I mean, the main part of a bass line is making sure that you're the foundation. So if it does the job, awesome. But I do find there are times where I find that is a little boring. So here are 5 tips that I'm gonna give you that will help kind of spice up your bass lines a little bit. If you're like me, these are very useful and very helpful. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, leave comments below, and I want to hear what are your thoughts on recording bass lines and that, because one thing I found doing the research on this video is everybody kind of hits it a little bit differently, which is totally cool. At the end of the day, if you lay something that sounds amazing, you did your job. So for this video, I just made a very simple loop. It's just moving through fifths. So basically I'm going D minor to an A minor to a C to a G, and that's my loop. That's basically the progression. There's a reason why I did that. So this brings me to my first tip, and that is follow the kick. What is the kick doing in the piece? Following where the kick is and hitting it with the kick will create a very strong pulse in your rhythm section, which is great. It creates a great foundation. So let's just lay that down so you can hear what that sounds like. Okay, so we just kind of followed the kick on that one, which is a little bit better than just hitting it on the 1, but not by much. Not in this particular piece, because the kick drum isn't really doing anything fancy. It's just kind of hitting the 1 and the 3, so just following that is a little bit better, but I think there's still room that we can explore here. So this brings me to my next tip, which is adding syncopation. So what is syncopation? Syncopation is when we start to emphasize notes that are not on the downbeat. So for example, just kind of hitting it on the 1, 2, 3, 4 is cool, but what if we start hitting it on the ands of things, the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4? We can start now add a little bit more of a groove to this piece. I'm going to count this one in, counting on the offbeat, just to kind of see what can happen. And you'll notice it'll start to get a little bit more interesting. So let's add some syncopation to it. So you can see by adding syncopation that this made the bass line a lot more interesting. I'm still following the kick, but now I'm starting to emphasize some of those offbeats, which just kind of make it a little bit more exciting. Just keep in mind, if you're adding too much syncopation to it, it might start to get a little bit muddy in the low end. It might start to get mixed up with what else is happening in the mix. So just keep that in mind. But I think in this case, everything's pretty good. So this leads me to my next tip. This tip is really kind of cool. I read it actually on a Music Hack Theory. I will put the link below so you can see the videos and how they explain this, but it's actually a really cool concept and it makes sense. We are going to break up any movement to the perfect 4th or to the perfect 5th. So in this case, I wrote a progression that's just moving through 5th. So what we're going to do is, instead of going a direct 5th interval or 4th interval, I'm actually going to add another note. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm either going to add like a flat 3rd or a dominant 7, just to kind of make it more interesting and to move to the next note, which I think will sound pretty cool. Also, I guess this is a bonus tip, we're gonna add a motif to it. And a motif is just taking like a melodic phrase and we'll repeat it. So in the bass line, for example, we'll add something that will repeat in a couple bars just to kind of, again, make it more interesting. My next tip is actually another 2 tips in 1. The first thing is let's add some octaves because you can do that in the low end. My final tip is kind of contradicting the first tip, is let's not play on the kick. We're gonna give the kick its own spot, and this is something that you do actually hear in production quite a bit because we don't have a bass stomping on the low and the kick will actually pop through really good. And just having this like almost call and response I think will sound really cool. So let's lay down some octave movement and let's also lay down not playing on the kick. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, I think that sounds really neat. You can see just kind of going through these tips, we went from having something very simple to hitting it on the one to now something fairly complex, and it's pretty exciting. I think it sounds pretty cool. So anyways, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope some of this helps you out. Leave some comments below if there's other things you'd like me to explore or if I should have talked about. There's a lot of things we can explore when it comes to bass lines. And if you're a bass player and you're like, you know what would be really cool, maybe show them something like this and this, I would love to hear it and explore that kind of thing as well. Because like I said at the beginning, bass is like a secondary thing to me. I'm a guitar player, so I'm sure there will be comments, but that's okay. I hope this helps, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Thank you. Oh, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my other videos. Thanks. Bye.